We shall see later that this opposed but equally likely possibility, that man may be friend or enemy, that he may be for us or be against us, is the root of everything social. The traditional phrase that man is a sociable animal, in the sense in which it has usually been understood, has always barred the way to a solid sociology. Sociability, means to be in social relation with others, but social relation, as I have already said, is equally a pretty woman giving me a kiss, how delightful, or an unknown passerby taking it into his head to hit me, what a nuisance. The automatically optimistic interpretation of the words social and society cannot be maintained, and we must do away with them. The reality, society, in its very root, signifies both its positive and its negative meanings, or, as I say for the first time in these lectures, every society is at the same time, to a greater or lesser extent, dissociety, which is a living together of friends and of enemies. As you see, the sociology toward which we are setting our course is far more dramatic than all those that have preceded it. But if this contradictory, or better, contrafactory, duality of social reality has suddenly appeared to us here, please note, nevertheless, that we have not even distantly glimpsed what underlies this opposition, that X which can equally be delightful living together and atrocious hostility. And this X, which underlies the two opposing possibilities alike, which bears them within it, and in fact makes them possible, is precisely society, with a capital S. But what society is, I repeat, we have not even the remotest suspicion.
Dude, that is a fucking drone, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is the LNS, dude. Well, if there's like... Look at that thing. It's rotating.
So, what you just saw, in case you weren't able to tell for yourself, is, in my opinion, completely fake. Okay, it's just a totally fake video. The things that make me say that it's fake is simply that the way that the camera sticks with this, what is declared at first a drone, just manages to stick with it, like the camera is magnetized to this thing. Maybe I'm not fully aware of the type of cameras that are on these jets, but is the camera rotating around and following the drone like this? Or is this the actual jet turning around and following the drone like this? If it's the jet cannot maneuver like that. If it's the camera, I'm not aware of cameras that can lock onto a target like that. But maybe there is such a camera. The other thing that makes me say that it's fake is that they claim that there is a swarm of them on the SA, which I'm sure stands for some kind of radar system. However, this camera is spinning around in circles, and it doesn't seem to pick up a single other one of these objects. And lastly, I believe that it's fake, or at least I don't accept it as any authentic video, because of the poor image quality. We're not really seeing anything here but a blurred light. A blurred light that appears to be in the shape of Boba Fett's spaceship. A blurred light which can very easily be CGI. But other than that, we can't really get a clear visual as to what this is. It very well can be an experimental government drone that runs on both thrusters and propellers. As the pilot says at the very beginning of the video, it's a bleeping drone. And then the other guy says, oh, there's a whole fleet of them. Just look on the SA. Well, guess what? Just late last year, the government was testing drone swarms. They were testing drones that can fly around in swarms, and they can they can be programmed to execute missions. And I will provide a video for that. Here is the video for that right here. So, as you can see in this video, these drones are launched from F-16s or F-13s or whatever. They're launched from fighter jets. They're dropped out of fighter jets. And it shows them on the radar, and it's funny because these drone swarms, they do circles. You know, if you watch their missions, they move to the red dot, and when they get to a red dot, they do a circle around that red dot. Okay, and this is precisely what appears like the movement of this thing that is captured on video is doing. So even if it's not completely fake, my guess is that it's just one of their drone swarms. I mean, the government has a lot of top secret weapons. I'm sure that they have some top secret drones. So with that out of the way, I'm now going to give my theory as to why I believe they released this BS UFO video now and didn't release it before. And that reason has to do with the new tax plan. See, a big criticism of the new tax plan is that it's cutting taxes, but it doesn't have anything in it about spending. People are saying, oh, well, we'll take care of spending later. Well, why not take care of it now? If you're creating a new tax plan, take care of it now. What's the big deal? So, the big criticism is that government is spending too much of our money. So even if they are cutting our taxes now, they're not really giving us our money back so much as they are giving us more debt. And that debt is attached to ever-increasing interest. So actually, it's sort of like they're taxing us even more. Okay? So anyway, the big criticism is that government spending. So by them releasing this bogus UFO video and claiming that they have this black budget that goes to a UFO program, they're trying to subliminally brainwash, or they're trying to use some kind of sophistry to make people okay with government spending. They're trying to say, okay, keep giving us your money because your money is going to this UFO program, which it isn't. Our money is just going into the pockets of these greedy bastards, okay? And they create all of these fake programs to then justify them stealing our money. And this is a perfect example of that. This program, this totally fake UFO program, okay? I don't buy this. I do not accept this video as evidence for UFOs. If anything, I see this as evidence for sophistry, corruption, collusion, government's not actually representing the people because it's clearly holding a bunch of secrets from the people. So that's what I see this all as. I see this as evidence that our government is out of hand and that it needs to be reined in and it needs to be put into check. How do we put that into check? Well, I believe that we need to draft ourselves a new constitution. Our current constitution has had enough time to prove its worth, and it has totally failed. So I believe that we need to draft ourselves a new constitution that can make sure that all of the current problems that we're dealing with can't happen. We need a new constitution that is in line with the Declaration of Independence, that is in line with the idea that all men are equal, and by equal I mean equally as incapable of ruling or taxing somebody against their will. So that's what we need to go back to. We need to go back to our founding document, the Declaration of Independence, and we need to use it to end this tyrannical government which has clearly taken root in our country. The collective soul, Volksgeist, or national spirit, social consciousness, has had the loftiest and most marvelous qualities attributed to it, sometimes even divine. For Durkheim, society is veritably God. In the Catholic de Bonald, the actual inventor of collectivistic thought, in the Protestant Hegel, in the materialist Karl Marx, this collective soul appears as something infinitely above, infinitely more human than man. For example, it is wiser, and here our analysis, with no special effort or premeditation, with no formal precedence, at least so far as I'm aware, among philosophers, drops into our hands something disquieting and even terrible, namely, that the collectivity is indeed something human, but it is the human without man, the human without spirit, the human without soul, the human dehumanized. So here we have human actions of ours that lack the primordial characteristics of the human, that have no particular subject who creates them and is responsible for them, for whom they have meaning. We have then a human action, but it is irrational, without spirit, without soul, in which I act in the fashion of the gramophone on which someone puts a record that it does not hear, or the planet circling blindly in its orbit, of the vibrating atom, the germinating plant, the nest-building bird. We have a human activity that is irrational and soulless, a very strange reality, this which now rises before us. It looks as if it were something human, but dehumanized, mechanized, materialized.